I bid you welcome.
5 movies left to cover. It doesn't feel right, but Scarymania is almost over, so let's go out in a blaze of glory, starting off with 28 Weeks Later, the long-forgotten sequel to 28 Days Later, a movie that I have slowly gained more appreciation for. 28 Weeks Later is by no means better than 28 Days Later. However, there's actually quite a few things that I did like. 28 Weeks Later, as the title suggests, takes place 28 weeks after the initial outbreak that was talked about in 28 Days Later. And something that I honestly did not see coming was the fact that this movie pretty much presents that after the events of 28 Days Later, the virus was contained and the zombies were thought to be pretty much dead. Well, as soon as US forces arrive and they try to repopulate certain sections of London, well, the rage virus comes roaring back. Also, I don't want to get too into it here, but some of the terminology used, including vaccines and quarantines, hit a little too close to home, but that's neither here nor there. As I said, 28 Days Later, at first I was like, this is cool and all, but I don't know. But the more that I marinated it and thought it over, the better it got. I loved how raw it felt. I love the fact that Danny Boyle had to run certain scenes in the London streets and literally had to block traffic, which I'm pretty sure caused him a legal headache. But he did it, and the effort was really noticeable for what they had to work with. In 28 Weeks Later, Danny Boyle was supposed to direct it. However, he had to direct a movie called Sunshine, which is another movie that I find to be really underrated and you should also check out. But because of those commitments, he had to step away from the director's chair for 28 weeks. However, he remained on as an executive producer. Watching this, it really hit me just how much of this cast included so many people who either would be stars or were stars already. One of the main characters is Jeremy Renner, pre-MCU. As a matter of fact, this movie came out in 2007, and he would make his first appearance in Thor in 2011. So, and in both movies, he plays a military dude. I guess he just has that look about him. Idris Elba plays the commander of the US Army. Idris Elba and his Stokely Pentecost mustache. Like, seriously, Idris Elba is just the best. I think the execution of the ideas and really the thought that went into this was pretty well done. I don't think it was necessarily perfect. I do have some technical problems, but on the whole, this feels like a very natural sequel to 28 Weeks Later. The biggest problem that I did have was some of the shaky cam, because it gets pretty bad in certain sequences, especially in the beginning. I was really digging the opening sequence where this family and the father, who would eventually center around it, they're hiding out in this house, Night of the Living Dead style, but then they let this boy in, and they're thinking, oh, it's going to be the boy who's the vampire. No, or a zombie. No, an actual zombie breaks through the wood and starts just biting everything in sight. And it's a very intense sequence, but literally the camera just goes like this for several minutes, and it's pretty hard to watch. The opening is the worst part of it, though. It does smooth out throughout the rest. As of this recording, we are getting a 28 months later, days, weeks, and months. I was going into this recording going to say I can't wait for 28 years later, because think about it, the first movie came out in 2002, so 28 years from that would be 2030. So we wouldn't have too terribly long of a wait, but I was wrong. They're actually going to do 28 months later. And I'm honestly looking forward to it, especially if Danny Boyle has any involvement at all, considering that he has movies like Slumdog Millionaire under his belt. That would be a banger of a threequel.